So, we're looking at today salvation through water. And we've got both the Old Testament and the New Testament. How does God save us through the waters? How does God save us through the waters? Now, years ago, my dad became a Christian at a retreat centre called Ashburnham in Hastings. And for years we had been going, me and my sisters, with my mum and the church family. And my dad came along, not to go to any of the meetings, but to enjoy the food there. He loved the rhubarb at Ashburnham. And also to fish in the lake. He loved fishing. He would go and fish in the early hours, and the kids would come and he would teach them to fish. So it was the highlight of his year, not for the spiritual input, but for the fishing. Little did he know that everyone was praying for him. And one year, my dad came from London, and one year there was a speaker from London, and he went down in the early hours of the morning and sat with my dad by the lake. And he just talked about being a fisherman for God. And at that moment, my dad, it was like scales falling off his eyes. He was in tears. He realized he needed God. He realized Jesus was everything to him. He was absolutely transformed, a new person. We'd never known this guy. My dad was a different person. And from this place, Ashburnham, he went and desperate to get baptized, absolutely. And as he went down in the waters, he said he felt like this heaviness fall off him. It was like all of his old life falling off him. And as he came up, he felt so much lighter. He was transformed. And a friend of mine had a different experience. She had sort of been coming along to church for years upon years, and she was hearing it all with her head. And then one day she said to me, something is happening right deep within me. I'm starting to cry a little bit. I'm starting to see things differently. And she said, I think it's time I get baptized. It was a different experience, but God was working in her life. And I don't know about you, but, I was baptized as a baby, the thing to do. And I became a Christian about 11 years old at a holiday camp. So do you remember your baptism? Do you remember that time, that experience there? You see, salvation is God's rescue plan. It's a rescue plan. And we see this being played out in Exodus, don't we? Moses here, this leader. And it's like this dramatic, I don't know about you, I think of it like this dramatic trailer film, Exodus, full of action, full of bloodshed, full of disaster, full of rescue. You can imagine it on the cinema, can't you? Picturing this trailer film. And here we get the Israelites in Egypt, don't we? They're in slavery, they're having to work, and orders being thrown at them. And then we get Moses on this mission, and he's saying, Pharaoh, let my people go. I want them out of this. We've got to get them out of this. And Pharaoh is playing on his power, and he's saying, no, we are not letting them go. So God intervenes with, as Henry spoke about last week, the plagues coming down on them one after other. Let my people go. And Pharaoh's going, no. And you can hear it, can't you? Let my people go. And Pharaoh's going, no. And the last one, the death of the firstborn. And you can hear the groan, can't you, of Pharaoh's heart. No, as it's ripped across the whole of the community. Not our people being killed, not the babies, not the innocent. And he just goes, go, get out of here, go, lead. And Moses takes those Israelites out towards the promised lands, takes them away from the slavery into a place that's going to be freedom. But the trailer increases, the tension becomes even more as they become doomed, as they become stuck in this place now. What we see here is we see the Israelites stuck in the middle, trapped. Let's see if I can't remember what I've put on here. Let's look. Doomed, that was it. They are doomed, they're trapped in the middle. We get Pharaoh's changing his mind, and he's coming in this army, and he's coming to attack and to kill. And over the other side, we get the Red Sea going for miles, too big to cross, and they're trapped, they're doomed, they're hemmed in. What to do now? So what I want us to do is to picture ourselves as one of the Israelites, trapped, doomed. Army one side, sea the other. Where do you see yourself at this point in the story? Do you see yourself as one of those angry Israelites shouting at Moses, "Moses, we should have stayed in Egypt. It was better for us to work than to die like this"? Do you probably see yourself a bit like me, very fearful and probably hiding? You know, we don't know what was there, but just stepping back. I can't deal with this. I've just got to hide. Maybe it's all a dream. Maybe I'll just fall under the ground, but I just want to get out of this situation. Or do you see yourself facing the sea, taking a breath and saying, is there not a way? Or maybe you were one of them that was just praying, Lord, help. In our life, we're often in this situation, hemmed in. What do you normally do? God save us. This is his message. And in the baptism, we're flicking now to the New Testament. We see a new Exodus, don't we? A greater Exodus. Jesus. Can you see the link between the two? This is Jesus stepping into the River Jordan. Not because he has to. No, we know that Jesus is without sin. He is God. He doesn't have to go through that baptism, but he identifies himself fully with me, fully with you, going through the waters. And he's showing us the way to salvation, the way to be saved. And as we are baptized, this symbol, as we're invited to go through the waters of baptism, we're invited to come to that relationship, that friendship with Jesus. We're invited to go down in death with Jesus and be risen again. Jesus is there with us. He identifies with us. And he says, my child. You know, it's that picture of the Trinity, as Dion read it so beautifully in the Gospels. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit washing and flooding us with the power and the presence of his Spirit. That's what Jesus is inviting us into. Salvation is through Jesus. Let's see if I've got one more. So what's God's plan? What's God's plan for us? You know, the Israelites were going from slavery to freedom through the Red Sea. And then we get this mirror image, this parallel, don't we? When Jesus, through his death and his resurrection, come alive, fully alive. It's God's power working to rescue his people, rescue us from slavery to freedom, from death to life, to fullness of life. You see, baptism symbolizes this. As we pass through the waters, we are cleansed, we're forgiven, we're redeemed, we're soaked in the power of the Spirit, marking us, belonging us as a child of God, dying and rising again in new life. Just like my dad experienced radical change. But it becomes more than a symbol, doesn't it? It becomes something that actually transforms our life from within. That when we feel hemmed in that middle of that sea, we don't do what I do and cower in fear about things. We might do for a little while, but we turn and we fix our eyes on Jesus. And we say, Lord, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this situation. I feel hemmed in with life at the moment. But you are the way, the truth, and the life. So this baptism is not only a symbol of being transformed, being part of Jesus' death and resurrection through the waters, but it actually changes us as we identify with him. So I'm going to leave us. I wonder now where we would be on the River Jordan. I wonder where you would be standing when Jesus was baptized. Would you be a little bit afar, the gathering crowd that come in and watching Jesus be baptized and thinking, there's something about this guy Jesus that's not only transforming him, but transforming the community. I want to know a bit more. Or are you rushing to get in that water with him? I want a little bit. I want to know and be soaked in the Holy Spirit. Where are you today in that picture?